waited so fucking long, man. I've waited so long to get this chapter translated. It's not even funny right now. Like, I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling well. I'm kind of sick, okay? But I am not going to let any physical ailment hinder me from talking about the greatness. That's why this review is late, but that's how much I fucking love Tokyo Ghoul. That's how much I love doing these reviews. I need to talk about it. I should be resting right now. Nah, fuck it. I don't know how long this review is going to be. Bear with me like always. We're going to go in depth. I'm going to try my best to maintain my hype and that caliber that you guys have come to expect with these reviews. But I'm going to say this right now. Normally you guys see me hype as fuck, right? It's not because I'm sick that I'm not as hype as normal. It's not that. It might be a part of it. But honestly, I feel as though it's the fact that I read the chapter 43 ROS before getting the translation for chapter 42. Because it's unprecedented for that to happen, okay? And if it weren't for that, you guys would have seen me come in here raving, ecstatic, talking about the fact that Sasaki's mask operation was approved and that we were going to finally get to see the beast masks that Uta crafted. But I've already seen them. I've already fucking seen them. Say this right now, I don't want to spoil it or anything. I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to save the discussion for the chapter 43 review, which hopefully chapters out either later tonight, tomorrow, okay? Hope I'm feeling better by then too. But I'll say this at the very least. Psycho, that mask is my favorite. Just done. Just fucking done. You got Shirazu over there with the Poom Poom mask. And I'm not gonna lie, URIE'S mask is beast too. Of course Sasaki's rocking, you know, the revamp of Kaneki's mask. But that's neither here nor there. You would have seen me come in here hype as shit to see those. But since I've seen those, that has died down. And I would have also been hype as fuck to know what's gonna happen between Kanye and Eto after the ending of this chapter. And I think that's where I want to start with this review. But I've already seen the engagement, so it kind of lessens it. Granted, I can't understand their dialogue, and that's the most important part about it, so I'm still hyped, but I digress. That's probably a little bit of why I'm not as hyped, that plus the fact that I'm not feeling well. But let's dive into it, okay? I want to start with the last page of this chapter, with Eto appearing in front of Kanye. Because if you look at the top panel of this page, page 19, a couple people, my boy Weeb and a couple other people, sent me the translations for this German graffiti that's on the walls and everything like this, where Kanye is kind of lurking under the overpass. I don't know what the fuck is up with the shit in the background. The one in the furthest pillar in the back is way too far to see, okay? The one with the X over it, I'm not sure what that says. It looks like CCG or something of that nature. I don't really care, okay? It's the two pieces of German text. The one above the body that I'm assuming Kanye fucking ravaged, and the one behind him himself, okay? The one over that pillar states Unterblinden, some, I'm not gonna read the German, but it roughly translates to, amongst the blind, the one-eyed is king. And not but a couple panels down, you have Eto appear lurking on top of that very same pillar. Confirmation that one-eye owl is one-eye king. I mean, if anybody was still speculating that after what SHUU said back in part 1, I never had any doubt that Eto /Owl /Takatsuki was in fact the one-eye king, especially from that dialogue with Tatara in part 1 after he fucked up Sato with Nora. Okay, but I digress. We're not gonna go back there. So I found that interesting as fuck. Definitely building up Eto's character, and this scene right here, dude. I'm ready, dude. Eto is about to fucking go in. We're gonna get a little bit of revelations and insight into her persona, which I've been desperately craving, and I'm curious to see how she tries to play or manipulate Kanye in some way, because the dialogue over the pillar that he's lurking under, okay? The text in German, once again, roughly translates to, you know, don't quote me on this, but it roughly translates to, what does it say? I believe it's something like, the one with the choice, you know, bears the agony, or something of that nature. You know, the one with the choice receives the torture, you know, the agony of choice, if you want to kind of clean it up a little bit. And definitely that is foreshadowing the events to come with next chapter in the future, and the path that Kanye is going to go down, you know, his relationship with SHUU, and how his existence is going to ripple and impact the rest of the series in whatever course it takes, okay? And how that's going to work against himself. And overarchingly, that one phrase serves to kind of center the air of tragedy that pervades Tokyo Ghoul throughout and can be applied to many people's characters. So I thought that translation was awesome. I'm glad that they sent me that. And this last page just got me hype as shit, because Eto lurking right there is fucking crazy, dude. A cold gaze projected in Eto's eyes. I can't wait. I cannot wait for chapter 43 to be translated. I'm so happy that, granted, I had to wait so long for this fucking chapter, but at least within the span of 24, 48 hours, I'm going to get the next chapter. So we're good. But let's dive in, start from page 1, get into this Tsukiyama and Touka greatness, because this dialogue confirms something for me that I always knew. I always knew. I called it. I was talking about it last week. I said it many a time ever since SHUU found out about Kaneki being Sasaki, and what Touka's mentality and state was at this point when Uta came to Ri and she had that what she said to Uta at that time. I knew where her mind was at, especially coming off chapter 143 at the end of part 1. Okay? Confirmed that, and this is how I always felt, that they would rather have Sasaki, Kaneki, remain in his new life as Sasaki than force his past upon him and potentially drag him back to the tragic world that he inhabited to begin with. It's not to say that what he's dealing with right now isn't substantial and weighing on him and fucking with his mind. It's not to say that his lifestyle and being a ghoul investigator is any more safe to an extent than his life as a ghoul and being part of Anteku was. But they don't want to be the ones to force it upon him. They would rather have him. They see that, at the very least, despite whether it's genuine or not, he appears to be somewhat content and happy. They'd rather watch over him from afar than force this upon him. I'm talking about them, Nishiki and Touka, because we see Nishiki looking badass as fuck in this chapter too, but then force it upon him, right? So let's get into the dialogue, and then I'll come back to this whole mentality, because a lot of light is shed on SHUU's character as well, which it's really just reinforcing what we already knew about SHUU, to be completely honest. But the fact that he utters the words himself and doesn't give a fuck is amazing. So let's get into it, right? Tsukiyama, so you're still alive, and this is what's interesting to me. SHUU automatically assumes that this coffee shop, he's like, oh, a coffee shop, huh? It suits you. He's like, is this Yoshimura's will? A second Anteku? Is that what this is? And for Touka, in a way, Ri definitely is an homage to Yoshimura. And ultimately, what it boils down to, because Touka, we know, has always had a dream of having her own coffee shop to begin with. And she used to talk about that with Yoriko. Ultimately, at the end of part 1, where everybody is like, where do we build our home next? What happens now? You know, this is, in fact, you know, spiritually the second Anteku. But for Touka, at the heart of it, what Ri means to her and why she is there is to maintain a place for Kaneki to return to if he ever so chooses. If he ever regains his memories and he needs somewhere to go, she will always be there for him. That is what Ri symbolizes to begin with. And SHUU's sitting there, he's looking pissed in this bottom panel, dude. He's like, you know, don't you? Don't play dumb. I'm talking about Mr. Sasaki. I know he came here. And you see just the agitation in him. He's like, for him, he can't understand. He assumed they would be on the same page as him to be like, yo, let's bring the boy back. And Nishi's sitting there, he's like, yo, don't bother the manager, man. Dude's sitting the artwork, dude. Ishida's artwork, the pose Nishi is in on some fucking L shit. It just looks beast. It looks fucking amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta calm down. This is not good for my state right now. But anyway, even if he remembered his past, then what? And SHUU's just like, no, we just gotta worry about that when he gets his memories back. After we get his memories back, you've seen it, right? How his life is now. So you're saying that we should make him ditch his life right now and haul him back to our side. Do you really want him back in the ghoul world, dude? Turning him back into a ghoul to get killed by doves. And ultimately what it boils down to, I don't think I need to go through any more of this dialogue, Since I've already so you're saying even without one of those, he's still Kaneki. I think it's fine if Kaneki doesn't come back. It's better that way, okay? But if his memories do return, is what Touka says, and he has no one to depend on, then he can call this place home. That's why this place re-exists. And she says to SHUU, your ego is what wants him back. It's the ideal that SHUU has built up of Kaneki in his mind and what he wants. It's all in the service of his own desires, okay? He's like, Tsukiyama, it's your ego. And this panel, dude, with SHUU's face, he's like, egoistic suits me just fine. Just keep being dandy like that if you feel like it. I'm going to bring his memories back for sure. He admits to his egocentrism, and that for him personally, this is all in service of how he feels and his desires. Unlike Touka and Nishiki, who, and you have to understand, ultimately, all of them, I would say, care about Kaneki. Genuinely, they care about him. But for SHUU, he's putting his own desires and what he wants to return the ideal he has of Kaneki. It's almost along the lines of how Kanye sees SHUU. And he's like, I don't care if it's just in the service of my desires. That's how I want him back. I want him back to that level. And Touka says that she understands his feelings, but ultimately she's placing Kaneki and his happiness above what she wants. Because she wants Kaneki right back by her side. Like, fucking hell, you know Touka, you know she has the feels for the man. So that's all I can say. But that dialogue was interesting. Then we move on to the next part of the chapter. Fuckboy Urie training with Sasaki. The man has a quick conversation with SHIRAZU, and it definitely serves to push SHIRAZU forward indirectly, unbeknownst to Ray, not what he wanted at all, for sure. He's just like, I just think that first class, wait, no, what does he say? Where is it? Exceptional Ukaku users make a squad's mortality rate drop by 70%, meaning, basically, if you turn it around, a worthless normal Ukaku user would raise the team's mortality rate by 70%. And he's like, I have high expectations for you, rank 2 SHIRAZU. Urie trying to do his fuckboy sorcery, throw the people around him under the bus. He doesn't give a fuck, all in service to him. SHIRAZU's pissing him off as the squad leader. Ultimately, to him, he wants his slot back. He wants to get back on top, get those, even though he's slowly changing. And I'm not gonna lie, I've said it last couple chapters, Urie's growing on me. He's trying to get into SHIRAZU's head and throw him off base, dude. And it has the complete opposite effect. It has SHIRAZU questioning what he needs to do to become stronger. And we finally get the full clarification of what his endgame is and what this goal is, of why he needed all of this money. It's something I've wondered about him for so long. And it's interesting to me, no lie, after what happened, I'm wondering, thinking about that flashback with SHIRAZU's father, and in this flashback with his sister, when she starts to develop the fucked up, the fucked up mutation with the ROS disease, and you see the Kagune developing on her face, he's like, at first it was a small pimple, let's tell Dad about it. We know that, SHIRAZU's father committed suicide in front of the man, and disparaged him as his final words, right? So it makes me wonder if, since they said let's tell Dad, the father was still alive at this point, it must mean that SHIRAZU's life became this tragic as a result of his sister falling to this mutation and this disease, and her father, their father, losing it because of that, dude. That's one way I could see it going, but I'm still even more curious to see all the pieces in SHIRAZU's past fall into place, because his character at this point, I'm fucking loving him, especially how they're mirroring him off my boy Fura. And for those of you that don't understand why I like Fura so much, and I'll get to it when we get to that portion of this chapter, but if you don't understand why I like Fura so much, read Tokyo Ghoul Jack. I've said it before, but I fucking love it. I love the dude. He's awesome. But anyway, we see this fucked up Kagune just protruding from Haru's face, dude. And, I actually was able to watch Chibi's review before making my video, and that rarely happens. I normally end up watching Chibi's review and other reviews in any video I make, in Tokyo Ghoul or otherwise. I generally watch or read the chapter, and before looking at anything, come in here and make my review. But since I wasn't feeling well, my review is mad late. I had time, Chibi's reviews out. I always watch them anyway because I love the dude's reviews in general, but I love his Tokyo Ghoul reviews. And I watched it, right? The dude dropped bombs in this review, okay? His theory crafting off of the RC cell oversecretion, the ROS, and this disease, and how he played it into the origins of ghouls in itself, it makes perfect sense to me, dude. And especially after following up his whole thing and looking into, you know, chapters 98 through 100 in particular of part 1, the kind of reaches he makes in towards, you know, the end game of Eto and Kano and everything like that. Just go, this is one of those insertions in a text or like a review or anything where I'm telling you, just go watch Chibi's review after this or during this, whatever you need to do, and come back, because I don't want to rehash what he already said, but that theory I agree with 100%, so that's all I'm going to say right there. But it definitely, the ROS definitely has implications. So let's talk about this. Humans originally have a small amount of RC cells. Due to unknown reasons, oversecretion will result in a disease known as ROS. It is said to occur once in every 1 to 3 million people, so it's super rare that this mutation occurs. But if you think about the lines of the origins of ghouls and where they actually originate from, we don't know much about it. But like he says, it could very well, like Chibi said, it could very well be that this was the impetus of it, this mutation, and the concentration over secretion of RC cells, and that in certain individuals, instead of, you know, having the ROS symptoms and, you know, falling to disease and not being able to control it, you know, formation of a cognate-like structure, which for HARU appeared in their fucking face, you know, as the condition gets worse, it causes extreme pain, nausea, altered memories, regression of nerves, becoming an infant, and will degrade the 5 senses. Okay, what if that transpires in a way where you kind of develop an immunity to those symptoms and you're actually able to harness it and you evolve in that way? That could very well be the impetus and the origination of ghouls, and the way that he dove into it and spun it into the theory crafting about Kano and Eto's endgame and what they're actually trying to do and what that his dialogue meant in part 1 is genius. It was fucking genius. So my boy Chibi, great fucking theory. That's all I can fucking say. I corroborated 100%. I agree. That's all I can say right there. And then just seeing this and seeing the pain in Shirazu's past, dude, it really gets to me. Finding out that he just needs the money for these inhibitors, and apparently the dialogue, Imperial Scans did not translate this dialogue, you know, completely. What Haru was saying to Shirazu in this moment, where it's like, I want to go see, and then it just kind of fades off. Apparently, it's supposed to be, from the original translation, it's supposed to be that she says something very similar to what Nutcracker says in her dying breath. And, you know, something along the lines of, I want to be beautiful. I want to see, you know, myself as beautiful again. And that makes so much sense at this point as to why Shirazu is so shaken and so perturbed by those final words of Nutcracker. And on top of, because he saw the semblance of his sister inside of her. And at the same time, it goes into Fura's dialogue and what he tells Shirazu, which I'll get into next. So let's just go into that right now. Let's change this page. Let's move on. So we find out why he needs this money and everything like that, right? And we see him, he's like, he's questioning himself. He can't use the Nutcracker Quinky. He doesn't know what to do. He's like, maybe I should have, you know, Shimura or Saiku have it. And Hayashimura has been begging for it apparently this whole time. And Fura comes up to the man, right? And they have this conversation. And what this whole dialogue does, it sets up the obvious mirror that we've been seeing and reinforcing the mirror between Arima and Sasaki, Kaneki, and how they resemble each other, you know, almost identically in a lot of various ways, right? And people have played up the similarities between the two many a time. And once again, Fura reinforces it. But what this does simultaneously is sets up, you know, Shirazu as kind of Fura's counterpart. And you see Shirazu mirroring, you know, what Fura was like in his youth. And you see the comparisons between them. I love the dialogue of what they talk about with as far as Arima is concerned. Talking about the days of Jack and how, you know, Arima was a ghoul investigator at 15, infiltrated the school, was going in like a boss even back then. He was stone cold. He was a monster, dude. It's fucking God Arima, dude. I don't know what you want from the man. He's just too real. He's just too fucking real, right? But aside from that, right, he tells Shirazu that he had a similar problem of not being able to use the first Quinky of the first ghoul he killed as well. And he's like, I was plagued by the emotions like regret and guilt every day. That ironic feeling is like mud that piles layer after layer, dude. Fucking Ishida with the beast dialogue. And then you finally get an answer call you can agree with, I guess. I'm bad at coming up with clear solutions. This process also took a very long time. Hey Shirazu, I think the ones who are troubled by the prey they catch are mentally much more healthy than those who aren't. It doesn't matter if you're an investigator what we take away is nothing other than life. And that's something that Shirazu was questioning, to be completely honest, after killing Nutcracker as well, is that it left a bad taste in his mouth. Ultimately, a lot of viewpoints from a lot of investigators in the CCG and a lot of individuals in Tokyo Ghoul in general that are human, they see ghouls as nothing more than creatures to be destroyed because they're preying on them. They don't see them as human beings. They don't respect that humanity. They don't respect the fact that at the end of the day, you are taking these individuals' lives. And they don't respect, the weight of that in any sense. And if you think about somebody like, I'm not going to say my boy Juzo is fucking crazy, but my boy Juzo is fucking crazy. And that's a result of the scars of his past and everything like that. But he's fucking, when it comes to murdering ghouls, I'm not gonna lie and say the man's not sadistic as fuck, okay? So, to see Shirazu questioning this and understanding the importance of it, and it's along the lines of Amon as well, and how he began to kind of want to understand Kaneki. So I could see Shirazu and Fura on that page being a couple of investigators as well that would be trying to bridge the gap between ghoul and human in some way, shape, or form down the line in the future. But that's neither here. We have way too many things to deal with before we get to that point. But I really like this scene because it builds up, that kind of mirror between Fura and Shirazu. And since I love fucking Fura and I love Shirazu, it's real nice to get that, especially playing it off of the Arima and Sasaki developments, right? And then he has Hayashimura cut off his hair in some sort of, attempt to, visually represent his resolve. I'm not feeling the haircut, man. I'm not. Dog, yo, like, Shirazu's fucking hair was the best part about the man. That and the sharp teeth in terms of his visual appearance. It was beast. Now he's got that fucking buzz cut. Now I'm not feeling it, dude. I'm sorry. Sasaki's face, Mitsuki's face, Saiko's face. Urie doesn't care, but it says it all. Like, Sasaki's like, what the fuck happened to you? What? Mitsuki's like, what happened to your hair? He's like, did you do something bad again? And then he's just like, I'm sorry. He declares his resolve. He's like, I've been holding people back. He hasn't been able to get over this weight that he's been carrying. And now he's fully resolved himself. He honestly has fucking Urie to thank. And Urie is in the back just like, suddenly changing your hair is definitely something a fucking idiot would do. He's like, why did it turn out like this? Disgusting. I'm just like, fuck boy, Urie. Plans backfiring once again. You tried to leave Mitsuki for dead back in the past. Now you're ending up saving her as she's having this effect on you. You try and, discard Shirazu, put him down and try and, perturb him so you can take that spot back. And it has the result of, having him declare his resolve even further and trying to improve himself and thanking you for it, dude. Urie, while trying to push people away, and he says it earlier too, he's doing everything to try and get, surpassing Buu. Like, it's not even just about promotions anymore. He wants to surpass Bujin. He's still salty about the fact that the man got the most praise after the auction operation, dude. This fucking man, dude. Even though he's growing on me, and even though Mitsuki's subtly changing him, and even though this bond with Shirazu is definitely going to build up in the future, and he's going to start to actually appreciate, I see it coming already, dude. He's still a fuckboy right now. He's still a fucking fuckboy. I'm interested in Kanye's development, though, because it may very well make him fight back and leave the top spot as the number one fuckboy right now. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back into it, right? Then we have this meeting of S1 and talking about the connection between Rose and Aogiri since, Kanye had, Naki's white suits and the rest of them come through in the last couple chapters and attack the Q squad, right? And they're basically trying to figure out if the main part of this dialogue, to me personally, aside from the whole Cory thing, calling out, Shiki on his plans and calling out Sasaki on the fact that he doesn't. I always think Cory is a fucking girl. I don't know why, but that he doesn't agree with the mask operation and everything like that. I think the main point of this is really them trying to discern whether all of Aogiri and the Rose is allied, or if it's just a subset, which it clearly is just a subset. It was realistically that engagement and that hiring of Aogiri by Kanye, but Eto's interest in Kanye is really curious to me, and that's something that I definitely want to get into. But aside from that, the dialogue, Cory's just basically trying to put down anything. Like, these are not results. You call these results. It's giving us unnecessary trouble. I like the fucking use of the little stitching in this panel where fucking, it's just like something real minor, but the artwork this chapter has been on point. I like the fact that Ishida has this little stitching kind of mirroring Shiki's face and everything like that, just to like kind of distinguish his dialogue bubble from everybody else. It's like a small thing, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was a cool move. So aside from that, right? All you need to do is prepare for battling both. If this isn't a result, then what is? Basically, Cory can't dispute this. Cory, I don't know why Cory is so cautious, and ultimately you see this kind of conceit about him, and his character is being fleshed out more and more, especially with that dialogue between Cory and Arima back during the auction, you know, that flashback we got, which left me with a lot of questions. I need to go back and look at it before I, you know, bring it up in full, but seeing the persona fleshed out, my girl HARU, dude. This panel of HARU, dude. She's going up, she's contesting her boss's orders. She's basically just like, yo, I also agree with Kojima. As long as we beat them, it's no problem, right? In the end, if we can't beat them, we can't catch ROS. And Cory's just like, you brainless. Why would anyone throw a fishnet after seeing just a shadow? The problem is that we still don't have a full picture of our foe. I hate from the bottom. He's like, I hate people from the bottom. I wish the academy would add general education to the program. Jesus, just has this conceit and this kind of air about him that he feels as though he's so much better than everybody else, even putting down HARU like she's nothing, dude. And I was just like, it's best to shut up when Cory's angry. Like, I just can't say anything. I was like, yo. But aside from that, we get the whole voting and everything like that. And this is exactly it too. We get the kind of more of a flashback into a special class. Please reconsider my proposed battle plan. Sasaki's like, let's get the mask operation on the way. And you see, I know the purpose of that plan, but if you guys keep getting achievements like that, I think it would be dangerous. There's something about Cory, and she, with that flashback with Arima as well, she's concerned. Fucking, I can't do it. The androgyny is too real. But anyway, he's concerned with the fact that Sasaki ultimately is Kaneki and is a ghoul at heart, and he doesn't like it. He doesn't fucking like it. Ultimately, I don't know what his concern is, but you see overall that Cory is such a cautious, calculating, and proud kind of conceited man from all of the dialogue and this build-up and the development that we've seen. So I'm really interested in Cory's character at this point, but that's neither here nor there, right? The mask operation gets voted in. As soon as the vote was successful, I was hyped. Of course, my boy Fura voted for it as well. You got HARU on it. You got Kijima on it. Like, everybody that realizes, my boy Kuramoto, this dude Shinji, everybody that realizes that it's clearly a good fucking idea, despite the risks or whatever Cory's apprehension is, votes for the shit. And we got the mask operation underway. I'm fucking hype, even though I already saw them. I'm hype because it got done. And then we have Akira like, yo, that's a success. And she takes Psycho away. For what reason? I don't know. Can I borrow Yonbayashi for a bit? They walk off. Definitely, if and Sasaki's thinking right off the bat, can't be that robed hero thing again, right? Man in a robe defeated the ghoul that ambushed Psycho and vanished. I have an uneasy feeling about it. That uneasy feeling inside Sasaki already, once again, another piece to kind of push the fact that I know this is fucking Amon, right? The fact that Akira is concerned about it and that Akira wants to hear the information about it even furthers that kind of perception for me and makes it seem as though maybe Akira has more insight than she's letting on at this point, especially if Donato had the info on it, which Donato, man, the man, I don't know, I still don't know how he's getting, unless him and Kijima are connected and the whole Kijima being with V thing is still thing, which a lot of that has died down at this point since his introduction, but I still believe in it a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So we're gonna keep that, and then we ultimately end back up with this final page with Eto confronting Kanye. So fucking beast chapter, I'm not gonna lie, the implications of it overall, the character development that we get for Shirazu, the insight into Cory's character, you know, the build-up and everything that's taking place, you know, Touka and what her resolve is right now, Tsukiyama's path, just the entire progression of the chapter, and ultimately, you know, the insight that we get after this whole RC cell, you know, overproduction, this ROS disease and what's happening with Haru, and what that could potentially mean overarchingly and what that implies for the series, especially with my boy Chibi's, you know, theory crafting and everything that he did, which, like I said, I agree with 100%. Definitely heavy implications and setup with this chapter. Fucking heavy. So I'm hype. I can't wait for chapter 43 so I can see that dialogue between Eto and Kanye and see what Eto's move is, and then, you know, actually get the rest of the chapter. Even though the main piece of hype in terms of the cues and the masks is just seeing them, and since I've seen them, it's kind of died down. I'm still hyped for next chapter because we got a lot from the ROS and what it looks like we're getting some more internal dialogue with young white hair inside of Sasaki. There's a lot of shit building up and whatnot behind the scenes, and Naki's about, I don't know what young Naki's on right now, but we'll save all this discussion for chapter 43. Let me know your thoughts. I'm tired as fuck now. I need to go rest, but had to do it. I had to make this review. I couldn't put it off. I couldn't, because at the rate that it was going, I was gonna have to wait till tomorrow. But I was just like, let me push through, and then after I can relax. So I'm done now. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm out. Peace.